Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so one more video that I promised you guys in regards of Necropolis was kind of more generic Aegon video. My experience, my advice, few tips and tricks that I used, my mastery setups and so on and so forth. So obviously we need to start with Aegon's most common question, I suppose. Do you need him to be max sig and stuff like that? And the answer is absolutely not. In reality, here's the deal with Aegon and his signature ability. You absolutely need to have him awakened, and that's kind of it. Higher Sig, yeah, is slightly nicer, but you do need to keep in mind the fact that when you ramp up, Sig 20 Aegon will do exactly the same thing as Sig 200 Aegon. There will be zero difference in a fight. So the only difference is how quickly you can ramp him up. So we can see that at Sig, 60, he retains 47% of his combo. At Sig 200, he retains 75% of his combo. In reality, the difference will come down to like 3-4 revives per path. All things remaining unchanged. Yeah, it's going to be a couple of revives every time you start off. It will be easier slightly with the higher Sig Aegon, but especially if you bring in Proximus Synergy with you, it's not going to make that much of a difference because Proximus Synergy is going to be something I discuss slightly later on, but it helps you get much more consistent ramp-up result and then also improves your damage along the way, which is why I like and use the Synergy so much. So that is the first thing to put away. You don't need to have Aegon max Sig at all. If you are struggling with Sig stones or you just don't really want to invest that many Sig stones in Aegon, you don't have to get him to like Sig 80, Sig 100 and it'll be fine. At Sig 100, he retains 57% of his combo. It's fine. There's not that much of a difference. Maybe it'll cost you an extra revive or two. Next thing, how many revives and Aegon ranks? Because this is another bit that a lot of people are asking. It's like, do I need to rank 5 and ascend my Aegon? Is rank 4 fine and stuff like that? So here would be my kind of generic advice. If you just want to do the completion path, just go in with rank 4. Obviously, again, keep in mind, Aegon overall isn't even the cheapest option. Kate can solo more fights than Aegon can, and Kate doesn't have the whole ramp-up cost associated with her. But Aegon is by far the easiest one. Aegon just makes it much easier to plan and enter, and he covers the most ground, therefore the rest of your roster matters the least, which is the reason why he's so popular. And with that, again, rank 4 Aegon for completion is perfectly fine. If I just did the completion path, I would not rank 5 my Aegon. If you do plan on exploring, then I'd say rank 5 Aegon, yeah, sure, it'd be worth it because, you get so much rewards as you are exploring. You might as well just rank 5 your Aegon because eventually it will not matter that much, which champions you have rank 5 or not, and there will be, a relatively decent time saving and revive saving. At the same time, I don't think it's worth ascending your Aegon, even if you're going for 100%. I mean, I didn't, and I still stand by that decision, because at rank 5 Aegon, it does perfectly fine. Ascended, yeah, you will do more damage, but it doesn't affect your challenger rating, so your fights can't potentially last a little longer. And I just don't think it's really that needed. And Ascension materials at the moment overall, they are more rare and they're going to be different than rank up materials versus, we don't really care which 4 and 5 star champions we have ranked up anymore. And the same thing eventually is going to happen with 6 stars. But you're probably going to be chasing the Ascension materials more so than, the 6 star rank up gems for a while. Because that will allow these most important 6 stars fight with the 7 stars for now. So I don't think there's a need to ascend Aegon if you are exploring Necropolis. Revive counts. As a generic rule of thumb when using Aegon in Necropolis for your easy completion path, or some people ask per path, but as a generic rule of thumb, with a rank 4 Aegon, I kind of typically say 100 revives and you should be fine. That is kind of like that amount that most people thereabouts, based on the chats and live streams that I have 100 people are using. 80, 85, 90, some people use over 100, and that's fair enough. Not everybody is equally skilled or equally lucky or equally kind of adaptable to Necropolis content. But the point is, my overall generic recommendation is if you have 100 revives and a rank 4 Aegon, and you cover the supporting fights that need be, go in, you'll be fine. Even if you just have the rank 4 Aegon, I think with 100 revives, you can brute force your way through the entire easy path, for sure. And rank 5, obviously, I don't know, some 10, 15 revives less. But yeah, with rank 4, 100 revives, you are fine. Right, so that is, kind of like discussing before you go in, what you should expect and what you should account for and so on and so forth. So next we are going to go to potentially the most important synergy, especially if you are maybe not necessarily super confident in your own skill. But even if you are, for me, this synergy served very, very great purpose, especially considering that I played through Necropolis kind of half asleep. And that is the Proxima Midnight synergy with Aegon. And most importantly, you have the Combo Breaker synergy, where activates combo shield for 5 seconds when this champion would lose their combo meter. This ability activates only one time per fight. And this was the crucial synergy for me not to waste revives at the beginning, because when you do ramp up your Aegon, if you get hit before you die, you feel like you have wasted this entire time, you have wasted the revive, you have done, relatively little amount of damage because Aegon's still ramping up, and it just feels crap and you can get frustrated and you can get tilted. Therefore, I largely utilized this synergy as kind of like my sign to cash out and to make sure that I still progress with every revive that I have. Because I effectively played until I got hit, and then if I got hit and died, it's awesome. I still have my combo and it still carries over, and regardless when it happened, there's still some progress made in ramping up Aegon. And then if I got hit and I didn't get KO'd, it was also fine. It was kind of like my final warning, my final signal, that either something might happen, that it's potentially time to cash in and bow out. Typically, what I did when I, triggered the synergy is I activated my level 3 and then got in another solid 4-5 combos, because with that long stun, you can get in like 2.5 combos, then you can go into Striker, then you can drop in another combo, and, then you press pause and you quit and you bank in as much as you have earned. And yeah, maybe, overall, if you kind of kept on playing, I could have saved myself a revive or two. But the most important thing was that this made me feel like I'm sticking to a plan, like I'm making progress, and I'm not getting frustrated that I'm wasting my ramp-ups. Don't get too greedy. Get to however many combo you can until you get hit, and then, quit out. You don't need to push it to the limit and then lose it and then be frustrated yourself. So that's genuinely, the advice that I would give to vast majority of the players. And then, obviously, the added benefit of carrying Proxima is increased potency of your Fury effects, and that does help a lot. That does help Aegon's damage as well. So even after I had finished my ramp up, I didn't feel like I have wasted the synergy slot, because I knew I'm doing more damage than I otherwise would if I didn't have Proxima with me. So I think pretty much for every path I carried this Proxima synergy. And moving on to Mastery setups. So when you're ramping up Aegon, my Mastery setup basically looked more or less the same as this, except, I took off the recall Masteries because they were unnecessary. Or, whilst you're ramping up, your Mastery setup doesn't really matter. Whatever you have on is fine, because the point isn't doing as much damage as you possibly can in the beginning. The point is chipping away at your opponent, doing some damage whilst you're ramping up. And then, when your Aegon is pretty much ramped up, this is the Mastery setup you go with. And the best way to describe this Mastery setup is kind of balls to the walls offensive setup. Right? You max out your greater strength, your glass cannon for added extra attack, obviously, which translates extremely well with Aegon and his, super high crit rate, as well as courage, given the fact that often you'll just give yourself 40% revive. The precision is not really needed here. In most cases, I was just too lazy to kind of take it off. If you want, you can take off some points from precision and just add it in deep wounds and assassins. The one mastery that I really liked having was Extended Fury, because I was often getting hit on purpose, either via charging the heavy attack thing or with something else that I'm going to show you in a moment. And, those Fury buffs lasting longer let you deal some nice bit of extra damage. And yeah, Despair wasn't needed as well, so it was actually, in most fights, Despair wasn't needed. So it was more so like this, typically. something like that. There you go. That's a correction that I caught myself upon. 59 to 59 points used. Sweet. So this would typically more or less be my setup. Offensively, defensively, just block proficiency. Aegon doesn't need willpower, obviously, because he purify all the debuffs all the time from you anyways. So once you're actually ranked up Aegon, there's no point in having willpower. And then here as well, just kind of like bare bones, 2 out of 3 in parry and 3 in stupefy, and that was fine. You can also probably do 1 point in parry. There's not that much of a difference. And then when I was using some other champion like Shuri, I pretty much left it the same again, just took off the recoil, liquid courage, double edge. Sometimes I put on willpower for some specific fights and then redid the end, but for most part, like, you know, I was using Shuri with this setup effectively, just removed the recoil tree, but I still left glass cannon on. And yeah, and that's about it. So this was my mastery setup for vast majority of the fights in Necropolis. And it, you know, worked fine as far as I can tell. You know, maybe you have a better idea, but that's what I used. And a lot of people do ask me, like, how does your Aegon mastery setup look like? So max out courage, max out greater strength, max out glass cannon, max out extended fury, and, you know, some points in assassin, some points in deep wounds are nice as well. You don't need to max out precision, by the way, because it really doesn't do much for Aegon. Right. And here we are. So the last bit that I wanted to show you with Aegon was another, like, a peculiar way of playing Aegon that I started largely relying on later in the fights. And you guys can see it here, where I, well, often start the fight with heavy attack, that's fine. But you guys, well, are going to see it here. I'm playing super aggressively, and after I finish my combo with the light attack, I just go in for the next combo immediately, starting with the light. So I'm basically spamming light attacks until I get to my level 2, or I need to bait out their special attack. And that works because you're still unstoppable when they hit you, if they choose to counter you. Be that with the first hit of special attack, which you can get away from, or be that with a regular combo. And by doing this, you don't have to wait till your heavy charges kind of refresh and you can go and safely activate the combo shield and stuff like that. Because when Aegon's ramped up, number 1, he gets combo shield active, and number 2, you still have the unstoppable. So when you do get hit, you don't eat the full combo, you just eat the single hit. And here you can see consistently me just, you know, triggering those furies, being like super aggressive. And that Spider-Man's melting. And I did this in a ton of fights. So you can see that my damage goes from like 16k crit to like 50k crits consistently. Yes, obviously, I'm using more potions or perhaps some few more revives by playing like this. But especially in some of the harder fights where you just kind of had to nuke with Aegon, this was by far the best and fastest strategy. Because you can see that in a very, very short amount of time, you know, that Spider-Man has gone down a great amount. And this was also like the game changer for me, especially time-wise and energy-wise, because I did the first several parts slower. And I was told, like, Pepe already had like finished, and I was like, how can you possibly do it that fast? And this is probably what he did, most likely. Because this was so much faster, and this was so much easier also on your brain when you get tired, because you just kind of go ham. And yeah, again, you probably do use a few more revives and some more health potions by playing it this way, without a doubt. But if there is a hard fight, you will probably get better results than trying to, you know, sneak around everything just by going and nuking anyways, if there's something that's giving you trouble. And the second thing is, if you are extremely limited on time, or you're not super confident in your skills, then this just lets you get in and out much faster. Now, you can still obviously play like you normally would with Aegon, now and then, charge a heavy attack, and so on and so forth. And I did a lot of that too. But this is something that you can do if you have plenty of health potions, if you have opened, you know, plenty of green crystals. And it will just make it much more faster. So, figured you should know. I'm not saying that this is what everybody should use, but it did make it a lot easier and faster. And I just wanted to be fully honest about it. It's like least skillful way how to play this game, I suppose. Because you're effectively just spamming your light hits and then baiting out opponent's level 2. And that's it. And you're just spamming your light. And so you finish your full combo with, let's say, medium, light, 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 light. You go for your next light. You get hit in the face. And you just, go light, 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 light. Light, 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 light. And then if they throw a special attack, sure, dash out of the way. Or if they don't throw a special attack, just bait it out. And do the same thing again. Go for a full combo, finish it with light, blah, blah, blah. Use your level 2. You guys saw how quickly that health pulse disappeared and what were the damage numbers there. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have to tell you guys. If you have more questions, do not hesitate to ask. And I hope this was helpful to some of you. And I'm going to catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about